All right. Good evening, everybody, and we will call the City Council Committee of the Whole of September 11th, 2023 to order. If the clerk will help me with the roll call, please.
Albertini?
Here.
Brereton? Brereton is absent. Flurry?
Here.
Frank?
Here.
Freeman? Here. Gramkowski?
Here.
McGee?
Here.
Mulhall?
Here.
Porter? Porter is absent. Snow?
Here.
8 present.
Okay, thank you. And do we have anybody registered?
No.
For public? We have nobody registered for public comment, but I am going to just say a couple things here to, one is obviously today, 22 years ago, we had the attack on the towers in Manhattan, and 2,977 victims were killed. Of that, 343 firefighters and 23 police officers lost their lives trying to save people. And I thought maybe today we would just take a moment here, a moment of silence to remember. I think it's something that we should never forget. Hopefully it never happens again. But if we can just have a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you. And also, I wanted to make sure that the council is aware that there is a Growth Dimensions dinner. I know I have placed that on council members' desks. That's September 19th at the community building at 5 p.m. And certainly you're welcome. If anybody chooses to attend, you're welcome. But I did want to let you know, remind you of that. And then also, when I was an alderman, I would ask many times, what does R1, Region 1 do for the city of Belvedere and for the taxpayers? And I think it's significant to point out that recently R1 had approved transportation alternative program projects, TAP money for the city of Belvedere in the amount of $216,871 to the city of Belvedere for our Kishwaukee Overlook project. And we are going to redo the parking lot down there and also put a boat launch in or a dock and also a small pavilion over there. So we as well may have an electric vehicle charging station. And Brent, is there anything that I've missed or that you can think of to add? But it is imperative that without that funding, it would have been a lot more difficult to be able to do that project. So we got 216,000 plus, and I'm happy about it. Brent?
And then it looks like we're in line for DCEO money to pay for the balance of the parking lot number 7 improvements. We had originally submitted that as all one package in the last fiscal year for a grant opportunity. We were not selected for that grant opportunity. So this year it got split up into two, the TAP project that the mayor just described, and then we've got some DCEO funds hopefully coming our way to do the balance. So that'll be the entire, for that piece of property that we purchased from Burton Motors. It'll be all incorporated, all redone. As the mayor said, it'll include some electric EV charging stations. It'll have a changeable message board on State Street, a little different orientation to the existing parking to allow for pedestrian access to the river through the overlook. We've stacked some limestone blocks that were recovered from the Moline property, Leith property. We will use them for river edge treatment as part of that project as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anderson. All right, under public forum, we have none. Reports of officers, boards, and special committees. Item 1, building, planning, zoning, unfinished business. We have none. Item 2, building, planning, zoning, new business. Building department update, Mr. Countryman.
Thank you, Mayor. For the month of August, we issued 151 permits for a construction value just over 27 million. 131 of those were residential, 20 were commercial. We accepted some fees for code enforcement violations in the sum of $1,455.50 for 6 violations. Some projects in town of interest. The Apollo, looks like a lot of the work has been done on the exterior of the building. The owners are in for a permit for the marquee. Staff has reviewed and accepted the plans for that. Hopefully that'll be done by Christmas. The rest of the properties downtown, as you can see, the fencing has been removed. All the projects have been finalized and approved. The fuel center's activity has picked back up. We finalized the Taco Bell today. Murphy Oil is expected to be finalized within the next couple of weeks. Dairy Queen is finalizing this week, hopefully, weather permitting. We'll get that finalized out. And Project Yukon has told me that they are going to mobilize tomorrow, and within the next couple of weeks, you'll see a lot of activity out there. And that's all I have to report.
Kip, the fueling station also poured concrete out there on Genoa Road, correct?
That is correct.
So on all those, we're moving along. And any questions for Mr. Countryman? Alderwoman Mulhall?
Thank you. Could you just repeat the value of our permits?
For the value of construction,
Yes.
27, just over 27,255,000.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Countryman? Okay, thank you, Kip.
Thank you, Mayor.
And building and planning zoning department, Gina?
Thank you. So the last couple months have been quiet with cases, but those are ramping up now. Tomorrow we have a public hearing for signage for Panama Taxi and for rezoning along Irene Road, which will be talked about tonight a little bit. I already have cases for October as well. And I don't expect that to calm down over the winter based on phone calls I've been receiving. Site plans are ramping up and final inspections are ramping up. As Kip stated, all the projects are starting to finalize. Quite a bit of activity downtown. The brickwork is coming along. All the facade grants are coming along. I'm sure you've seen Mocha Haiti and the dance studio with their facades. The potential new restaurateur for Lung Fung came in today with some ideas as well. So fortunately, all the downtown businesses that have, well, not all, but a good amount of the downtown businesses that have closed already have potential buyers and tenants lined up to reopen. So hopefully we'll see a nice boost of new businesses down there by Christmas. Historic Preservation is having their awards banquet. You guys will be getting invites for that soon. And otherwise, the out-of-office activities for August was mostly the Jeff Smith event at the VSW and the Boone County Fair tent.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Delrose? Okay, and Gina, thank you for your help with the Jeff Smith Memorial. Couldn't have done it without you, so thank you. Appreciate it. All right, item C, the annexation agreement with Midwest Refrigerated Services and Donald K. Bush Sr. You have that being an ordinance authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement between the City of Belvedere and Midwest Refrigerated Services, Inc., and Donald K. Bush Sr. You have that in your packet. I know I believe, every alderman except one I did talk to on the phone, but 9 of the 10 I talked to in person, and you were gracious enough to come in during your own time, so I appreciate that. This is certainly in regards to that. The city attorney, do you have anything that you wanted to add?
Nothing in great detail, other than it is slightly different than the one that I showed most of you earlier, in that there's some question as to whether or not the applicant will receive grant funds from the state, so we're hedging our bets. They still want it next to the city, they still want to go forward with the project. However, we're going to wait and see as far as the actual design, implementation, and site plans until they do receive that grant in the future. So what you're proving on the 2nd of October will be the annexation agreement, the annexation, and the rezoning. They would have to come back to you again in the future after that with a planned unit development, assuming they receive the grant, can go forward with the project. So a lot of the fine detail in the actual development will be in that in the future.
Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you. So does this project depend on getting that grant, or will they move forward even if they don't get it?
It depends on the grant.
And I know that, the grant is something that I have talked to with our friends at the state, and they do understand that it's a lot of money to leave on the table. I don't blame them. If I was going to be able to get the grant money, which is sizable, I would certainly want to take that and not leave it on the table. So, but I am optimistic. I think they qualify, obviously, and the application's been submitted, so we shall see.
One of the reasons they want to go forward with the annexation and the agreement this time is even if this project doesn't come here, they may have another one down the pike that could go into the same property. But for this project to locate here, we're in direct competition with another site in Wisconsin, and to make the numbers work where it's competitive with Wisconsin, they would require that grant from the state.
Okay.
We
So,
do have the representative from Midwest Refrigerated Services here if you have any questions for him.
Attorney Jim Hirsch is here this evening. If anybody has any questions, Alderman Snow?
So what's the difference between the two documents that are on the agenda, the C and the D? What's the real difference between those, other than one's real thick? What's the,
Completely different things. While not required by state law, municipalities can enter into what are called annexation agreements with landowners. That can either be what we sometimes call a pre-annexation agreement, like what we did with Deer Hills or with the Road Quarry, or it can be part of a regular annexation. It's a separate document, completely separate statute. That statute allows us to basically enter into a contract with the owner of the property, and it's binding upon all successor owners of the property. And it can cover things like water and sewer extensions, land cash donations for impact fees, pretty much anything you can think of can be put in that agreement to govern the relationship between the developer and the city. The annexation ordinance itself, which is the second one you're talking about, all that does is actually physically annex the land of the city. You can legally do an annexation without an annexation agreement. We've done that before. Although our code requires an annexation agreement, we have skipped that process for very small ones like single lot houses that just need to connect to our water or sewer or something like that, where it does not make sense to have a full-blown agreement. But the agreement allows you to govern everything about the relationship from the zoning to how it's developed, the aesthetics of the property, when it's developed. You can, pretty much anything you can think of, you can put in that kind of an agreement.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Do I have I don't have a motion, do I?
Nope.
I need a motion. Motion to approve the annexation agreement, send it on to council with the Midwest Refrigerated Services and Donald K. Bush Sr. Could I, motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderman Fleury. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay. All those in favor, please signify. I'm sorry. Alderman Fleury?
Sorry. Yeah, you said that they would have, you think they'll hear back from the grant in October, or do we not have a time date on when that will be approved?
We do not have a time date. The application cannot be made until the 19th the 19th of September. At your next council meeting, we'll actually have a public hearing with respect to the application on that grant. The city is technically the applicant on it. The typical timeline is from the time you actually file it with the state, which we're going to do the day after the public hearing, is about 4 months, sometimes 6 or 8 months. The reality is we think we're going to get this one through a lot quicker. The project manager thinks that he can have it reviewed and essentially pushed up the chain to the director of DCO within about a week. And we're working very closely, I know the mayor is, with our elected officials in Springfield to try and get that turned around very quickly for the applicant.
Thank you.
I did have a conversation with the assistant director at DCEO when we had the event at Washington Academy regarding the U.S. Cellular 5G event. The governor was in town here, and I took it an opportunity to chat with the assistant director and explain to him essentially this is important here to be able to get this, and he had a good understanding of it, so I'm optimistic we won't run into any red tape with it, hopefully. Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor then. All those in favor of the motion regarding an ordinance authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement between the City of Belvedere and Midwest Refrigerated Services, Inc., and Donald K. Bush Sr., please say aye. Aye. And if there's any opposed? Okay, motion passed, thank you. And item D, we have, as the city attorney alluded to a little earlier, the annexation of territory north of US Route 20, west of Irene Road and south of the Union Pacific Railroad, regarding the annexation of certain territory specifically. So if I could have a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderman Snow and a second by Alderman Albertini. Questions, Alderman Snow?
This is probably a good point. Page 3, top left-hand side, it talks about it is county, and then it says county of Ogle. Is that just because the surveyor is from Ogle?
I'm glad you caught that. Yeah. Mr. Hirsch, will you have somebody at CES change that, please?
I can.
Kevin's surveying firm is actually out of Ogle County. Was that, I don't have it open in front of me, was that the actual,
Yeah,
was that the
that's fine.
surveyor's location, or was that the official property? Yeah, then that's fine. Yeah, I took it out. I
He's surveying.
actually
He's
cut that
certifying.
part out. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Any other questions? Any other concerns? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion on the floor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And if there's any opposed. Okay, motion passed. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Mayor, I was actually able to find the computer. That is actually fine. That's just where his office is, and that's his certificate. He does have one of his Anfarana's backwards. The important part is the very bottom legal says it's located in Mook County, in legal, so it's okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alderman Snow. All right, item 3, Public Works unfinished business. We have none. Item 4, Public Works new business. Item A, Public Works update. Mr. Anderson?
Thank you, Your Honor. My only update tonight is a reminder, we've got some master watershed workshops planned for this winter season. One in November, one in December, one January, one February. If any aldermen are interested in participating, I need to know by the end of this week, by Friday. We are having another planning meeting early next week, and we'll be trying to put together head counts for what we're looking at for attendance. So if any of you have interest, let me know by Friday, please. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Director Anderson. Item B, we have an intersection review regarding Fifth Avenue and West Fifth Street in your packet. And with that is a corresponding memo in your packet from Director Anderson. I'll go ahead and let him make his comments.
This request was made from the school district, actually, for placement of this sign. So as indicated in the memo, ADT on Fifth Avenue is 1,300 vehicles a day. West Fifth Street has ADT of 200 or less. No intersections, or one accident at this intersection in the last 5 years, excuse me. Pedestrian activity, of course, it peaks with during school season, before and after school. No sight distance limitations noted. I would recommend that traffic on West Fifth Street stop to traffic on Fifth Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Could I get a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderman McGee. Thank you. And any questions or comments, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. And if there's any opposed? Okay, motion passed. And Mr. Anderson, you have item C, the ordinance authorizing sale of certain personal property, public works vehicles in our packet.
Yes, sir. In your packets, basically the exhibit list, page 3 is the vehicles that we're looking to dispose of. They're no longer used, so we will dispose of them either through auction or through price quotes from the local scrap yards, depending on each of the vehicles.
Okay. Motion by Alderman Snow then to approve an ordinance authorizing the sale of certain personal property, city vehicles, and second by Alderman Albertini. Thank you. Is there any comments, questions, concerns? As Director Anderson said, Exhibit A is attached behind it. It lists the vehicles with the VIN number, associated VIN numbers, and also one forklift, 1964 forklift that's on there. So, Alderman Snow.
So with this many vehicles, these have been sitting idle for quite some time. We're not looking to replace, so later we're gonna get hit for new vehicles, or I'm just curious.
No, these are just ones we're cleaning out the Leith building, basically. They've been sitting for long enough that we need to get them out of the way.
Okay, thank you. A little skeptical, I'd say. I understand.
No. I'll have my hand raised when police gets, when they go through their shuffle. I think a couple of these might even be old squad cars, so.
Touche. Okay. Alderwoman Frank.
So Brent, will these have mileage on there too when they're up for sale?
Yeah, for the ones that are still running and operating condition, they'll have the mileage, all that information. For example, the 2002 Dodge Neon, the good Neon was disposed of previously. The bad Neon, it's got motor issues. It's still down there, so that's probably just going to get junked, but we'll see.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there are no other questions, all those in favor of the motion on the floor, please say aye. Aye. And if there's any opposed, motion passed. Thank you. And Director Anderson, you have the Logan Avenue Rehabilitation Project change order, number 5 and final change.
Correct. In your memo in your packet tonight, Logan Avenue work has been completed. In the memos, he attaches the change order number 5, which is the final one, in the amount of $13,515.99. It includes one long water service that needed to be replaced, some section of the Florence Court water main that was remaining within Logan Avenue, That was removed as part of that project, and then we had to put in some handrails on a few of the steps through the entryways, pedestrian entryways, and a few of the houses on Logan that we could not make get around the ADA requirements, so we did have to put some hand railing up. The total change orders for this project represents a 2.16% increase to the original contract. Final contract amount is $2,729,418.83. This work will be paid for from line item 10-5-310-8021.
Okay, with that being said, could I have a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderman McGee, second by Alderwoman Mohal. Thank you. Questions, Alderman Snow?
So with the Florence service and the additional work that was associated with that, that wasn't unexpected, was it?
No, it wasn't unexpected, but it was not initially included because the Florence project came after the fact, if you will, when we ended up adding that rehabilitation. So it didn't make sense to go in and tear up Logan and remove it when we were doing Florence and having those issues, so we saved it until the actual Logan Avenue project.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Alderman Albertini?
Okay, so this pretty much, at the end of this job, this will pretty much wrap up Logan Avenue so that we don't have additional changes or any more add-ons?
Yes, this is all part of the final closeout of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody? Alderwoman Frank?
Director Anderson. The amount, $2,729,000, is that after the federal funding that we got, or is that?
That's the total project cost.
Thank you.
Okay. And any other question? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion on the floor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And if there's any opposed? Okay, motion passed, thank you. All right, and item E, wastewater treatment plan, engineering design, final clarifier gate replacements. Director Anderson?
Next in the series of improvements we're doing or need to be done down at the wastewater treatment plant, we have 3 final clarifier gates that need to be replaced, 2 20-inch sluice gates and 1 36-inch sluice gate. Estimated cost of the project is $300,000. Attached is a proposal from Baxter and Woodman, an amount not to exceed $36,000 to complete the design engineering required for this project. I would recommend approval of the proposal, and the work will be paid for from line item 61-1790. It looks like we will be in line for some grant funds for a portion of this work. Approximately, it looks like $150,000 worth of grant money to help offset this cost.
Okay, with that being said, could I have a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderwoman Frank, thank you, and a second, please. Second by Alderman Snow, thank you. Any questions? Any comments? Alderman Albertini?
Mr. Anderson, I see here that it says not to exceed $36,000. Okay, my question is then we won't see a change order down the road for this because this is locked?
Well, this is for the engineering design portion of it for the project. So yes, it's a not to exceed amount of $36,000. If something unforeseen comes up, that means that they would have to come back to us with a request for additional funds if that's warranted. I do not see that happening in this case.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And any other questions regarding the motion on the floor? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to recommend the approval of the proposal from Baxter and Woodman's in an amount not to exceed $36,000 for the design engineering for the final clarifier gate replacement project. The work will be paid for from the line item 61-1790. If there are no other questions or comments, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, please. Aye. And any opposed? Okay, motion passed, thank you. Okay, thank you, Brent. Under 5 other, we have Item A, which is the resolution of support for a community block grant. And that block grant was submitted for an economic development with CDBG, a program for improvements to a site for a potential project. That grant request is in the amount of $1 million to be used to construct water main, sewer line, and roads, and the benefit to low to moderate income individuals is 52%. The grant is leveraged by $1,276,000 in Midwest Refrigerated Services. So we have that resolution on the floor with the background behind it. Could I have a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderman Fleury and a second by Alderwoman Mohal. Thank you. Any questions, any comments regarding that? That is the application, obviously, for the CDBG application project information that we had talked about earlier. Alderman Snow?
So where do we intend to use this fundage, or do we have it earmarked, or?
This is the grant to fund the Midwest Refrigerated Services
Okay.
project.
That,
Correct. That's the community block grant that we talked about with DCEO and how we're going to try and move that along.
The grant itself identifies the usage to be on-site water utility, on-site sanitary sewer utility, and on-site road improvements.
well, a question. So in the document where it talks about 52%, how does that factor into it? That creates jobs, is that,
For the jobs
Correct.
created,
Yeah.
those jobs will be,
That's what we fall
will be
under.
going to that 52%, correct?
And that's a grant requirement.
Any other questions? All right. If there are no other questions or comments, all those in favor of resolution of support for the community block grant, please say aye. Aye. And if there's any opposed? Okay. Motion passed. Thank you very much. And item B, I don't have anything in your packet, but just as a notification, I am going to make a committee appointment regarding the Boone County Council on Aging Board. Alderman Albertini has been gracious enough and caring enough to accept an appointment to that open seat on the Council of Aging Board, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Alderman Albertini. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, sir.
And item C, we have the police acceptance of the Illinois Enforcement Training and Standards Board grant. In your packet, there's a memo from Chief Woody regarding the acceptance of that board grant, and it is in the amount of $56,376.98. And Chief, I'll hand this over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. If you turn to the memo in your packets, so we applied for and was approved for a grant from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board for recruiting and retention. As I've explained to the council previously, we've struggled getting entry-level applicants. Over the last 5-10 years, we've documented an 80 to 90% decrease in those applicants willing to test for entry-level law enforcement positions. So we applied for this grant with the focus on certain areas being traditional recruiting, areas that we haven't been able to have the financial funding to explore, such as geofence digital advertising, commercial advertising on television, digital advertising online, as well as digital video campaign. As we all know, the majority of today's applicants get their information digitally, either through social media, gaming, streaming movies, YouTubes, or other forms of digital media.
This approach would allow the Belvedere Police Department to proactively put information in the hands of those prospective applicants through the sources that they use every day. So upon review of the grant application submitted by the Belvedere Police Department, ILETSB, or the Training and Standards Board, approved the grant in the amount of $56,376.98 to cover the costs of these recruiting and retention initiatives. If approved, this grant does not require a match and would allow the Belvedere Police Department to take a proactive approach to recruitment. So I will request a motion to accept a grant from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board in the amount of $56,376.98 for recruiting and retention of law enforcement officers.
Okay. Could I get a motion to that effect, please? Alderman Mulhall, thank you. And second Alderman Fleury, thank you. Any questions or comments regarding the motion on the floor? Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you. So,
you guys gonna, do like commercials on these digital, platforms? You gonna do like videos, like the police department say, come through here,
we need more guys?
Yeah, I'm sure, you've seen other departments maybe advertise on different stations that you may watch some shows. We intend to do the same thing. We actually have one of our officers, Officer Danielak, who is a outstanding videographer and is able to put together videos. He's started a recruitment video for us before COVID that we've been kind of tweaking along the last couple of years. We intend to use some form of that video in this commercial and potentially as well as the digital advertising online and the video campaign. So yeah, that's exactly what we intend to do, is just showcase the department, what it has to offer, why it's would be a benefit for somebody to deploy with our department as opposed to maybe another.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any comments? Okay, Chief, I want to take my hat off to you and your department who worked on this grant. We had talked about this, I don't know, several times over the past year, I guess, and I knew how difficult it was to be able to get individuals to come and test and that were interested in the profession. And I do believe you're correct. I think our police department and our community has a lot to offer here. And I think it's still tough. It's still tough to find individuals that are interested in that career. And it's no secret why it is tough. It's been very, very difficult, I think, very, very unfair regarding some of the media coverage regarding law enforcement and defund the police and what have you that's taken place here over the last couple of years. So it is difficult. I appreciate you going out and seeking this grant and successfully seeking it. And I think it's a start in the right direction. I do believe things are going to turn around here, but I think this will help. So thank you. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is truly just one prong to our recruitment initiative. The other prong you'll see in the next few weeks being a look at changing the rules for the Fire and Police Commission for entry-level testing. We've taken a different approach, and it'll be something that I'll bring to the council to be requesting the use of home rule authority for us to change. And it will allow us to take a more efficient approach to the testing process, which hopefully will allow the process allow us to get through the process that much quicker and get those applicants hired on that much faster. So, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Chief. We look forward to that. Any other questions, comments? Alderwoman Graham-Kowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, when do you expect this to roll out, these videos to roll out?
This is the first step in the process. We've been doing some legwork already. We've met with commercial advertising personnel as well as Matt Branham, who would be helping us with the digital advertising online and the video campaign. It all depends on how long it would take us to get this information. I don't have an exact answer for you right now, but we are in the beginning stages. We already have had some of those conversations, but I can't give you a specific timeline just yet.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Chief Woody? Okay, hearing none, motion on the floor then to accept a grant from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board in the amount of $56,376.98 for recruiting and retention of law enforcement officers. If there are no other questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And if there's any opposed. Okay, motion passed, thank you. And with that being said, item D, I would like to go into an executive session for appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee pursuant to 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act. If I could get a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderman McGee, second by Alderman Albertini. Thank you. All those in favor will, when the name is called, answer aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Albertini?
Aye.
Flurry?
Aye.
Frank?
Aye.
Freeman? Gramkowski?
Aye.
McGee?
Aye.
Mulhall? Aye. Snow?
Aye.
8 in favor.
Okay. We'll take a couple minutes here for the record. We voted to go in